Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined as always by Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we've got 10 games here on Tuesday night for you guys. In this one, we are taking a look at the Bucks. They are in Brooklyn taking on those pesky Nets. We'll see what they can do there. Other game video for you guys, the LeBron-less Lakers taking on Memphis. We've also got those player props up for you guys that we're already having a good week for with you guys on. So make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Also want you to head to thelines.com. That's where you can check out all the great written content we have for you guys and use our odds finder tool up there where you can make sure you're getting the best odds available to you from all those U.S. sports books this season. Nate, let's go ahead and jump into this 10-game slate and then talk about the Nets and Bucks.
Yeah, Lakers are +9 without Bron in Memphis. No D'Angelo Russell either, probably there. Total of 230. Bulls are +5 at the Raptors. Bucks bet up to -6.5, opened around 4, and the total's been bet up from 226 to 230. Washington +7 at Atlanta. The Kings are -3 at Thunder. No SGA tonight, maybe no De'Aaron Fox. Nuggets -10 at Houston. Pacers +8 at Mavs. Spurs +10 at Jazz. Wolves +6 at Clips. And then the Blazers are +4 at the Warriors, and I trust the Warriors to win that game. Also think 235 is a little low for that one, considering how those teams play. So right off the bat, if you would rather have Milwaukee at closer to a money line, I would tease that with the Warriors total. Get that at 231 and take the over there with Dame. Sure to keep his team scoring at least in Portland, sure to play no defense. But we're talking about the Nets and the Bucks, and really this is another opportunity for PSA to bet against the Nets, fade them making the playoffs or being in the play-in, because they're now only one game ahead of Miami in the win column, a few in the loss column because they've played more games, but they are, this is a tough stretch that we highlighted. Sure enough, they have not shown anything to indicate that they're going to be able to compete with these top 12 teams in the East that are all trying to pass them or knock them further down the standings. They did bounce back from just an absolute slaughter last Friday in Chicago to, play a high-scoring game at Atlanta, but the defense was just abysmal. They let the worst three-point shooting team in the league hit 16 threes at 53%. They got out-rebounded. Nick Claxton can't stay on the floor because his offense isn't fitting without Kyrie and Durant. Now you're facing a Milwaukee team that's number 1 in rebounding, number 3 limiting assists, anything they want to do, they're tops there. Three-pointers are really the biggest barometer, though, and that's what, Milwaukee is number 1 in that on the road in the entire season, and then recently allowing under 30% wherever they're playing over their last 8 games here. So if you look at Brooklyn, how they've been able to actually win in the post-Kyrie era, if they hit a bunch of threes, and that's not even a guarantee. Like they have, they're 2-3 at home in this situation. They've hit at least 17 threes in both wins. They hit 16 in a loss. In the other losses, they shot 32% against Philly and Phoenix. Two teams that, when you look at a lot of these numbers defensively, what they limit, very similar to Milwaukee, which is to just say, towards the top of the league. And Brooklyn's been pretty good defending the three-point line on the season, but lately that's the bottom's kind of fallen off there. And Milwaukee's just obviously more versatile. They do score a high percentage of points off threes, but they also score a ton of unassisted twos, aka Giannis. And now with no Durant out there, Giannis has already had some pretty big games against the Nets. The Bucks have won 6 of their last 8 against the Nets in the regular season. And the exceptions, are usually when Kyrie or KD go off or the Nets hit a bunch of trays playing off them. I don't see any of that happening here. At 230, after it's been bet up, the under is kind of in play here because I don't think the Nets are really – they're a threat to not score, 100. A rare NBA team right now that if it's just not – working for Dinwiddie, like we saw in Chicago, they're just going to get crushed. But I think the spread is fine, -6. Milwaukee's a little less reliable on the road, so if you did want to tease it with something else, that is the option I threw out there.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's true that the spread it's at 6.5, and like Milwaukee's not that good on the road covering, throughout the season anyway. But it is sort of been a new day, right, for them in the last like 14 games that they've won. They're obviously a much different team. Piling on to the futures that we talked about with Brooklyn fading them to be in the playoffs outright, and taking them to be in the play-in tournament for sure as well, which is continuing to bear fruit as the Knicks are super hot as well, winning 5 in a row. A big reason that we liked Brooklyn to slide was the likelihood that Miami and New York were able to overtake them as much as anything, and now they're losing, helping us out entirely as well. So everything's kind of going in that direction right now. And the other one was Milwaukee, to potentially win the East when they were half a game back, and you're getting plus 210 odds or plus 220 for them to just overtake Boston by half a game. Even if you think Boston's really good, right now Milwaukee's back in first, and this would be an opportunity to go up by a full game, I believe. So this is a good opportunity for them. Giannis is probable in, which is also why you just feel good about them being able to sort of get theirs against this Brooklyn team. I don't know what defense Brooklyn's really able to pose when against this team right now. I mean, Giannis, to be fair to them, I mean, if you look at what Giannis has done against the Suns, let's say like you like Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges to sort of be the consistencies here, and against the Suns in the last couple games in the regular season, Giannis, dating back to last season in the regular season, didn't have solid numbers against them, failed to score 20 points twice against them. Of course, that's also coming after a playoff series where he dropped 50 in a game series clincher. So I don't know what you want to do with that and him, but either way, they're not able to stop what this team does well. I know they've been limiting teams shooting threes decently well, but they're still giving up a super high percentage, as they're not really able to necessarily get all over the floor, and definitely a much worse team down low at this point. Nick Claxton not able to stay on the floor is a huge part of all that. Like you were saying, his inability on offense to really click. Same with Royce O'Neal, another really solid rebounder for them, from his position at forward, and obviously Ben Simmons would have been great to be able to help them get rebounds as well. All those guys not able to really play in a system where they don't have stars on offense to be able to score for them, right? And put them in positions to score. There's no one able to do that for them at this point, which is, in terms of a ball handling playmaker. So that means that they're also now, that's hurt them down low, right? 17th in opponent points in the paint over their last 5 games. That's down from like 9th on the season when Nick Claxton was in there being the best, one of, if not the best rim protector in the league alongside Jaren Jackson Jr. Their defensive rebounding percentage all the way down to 22nd, and those 2-point percentage as well for their opponents down to 27th in the league, for Brooklyn, because they don't really have anybody down low to defend those 2-pointers. And even the mid-range that I thought they'd do a much better job of defending, still giving up a ton of points from there as well. So they're going to have to shoot lights out to be able to even hang with this team and make in their wins, in their last 5 games, or excuse me, since the trade basically in this on the 7th or so of February, they're making 17 threes. In their losses, they're making 12. So that's just how they're going to have to win. That's 15 points per game that they need from the 3-point line to be able to win against these teams. And the same for Milwaukee, who's also now back to defending the 3 in terms of third, and in terms of in their during this run, limiting opponents' 3-pointers made. You talk about limiting assists and down low, the rebound percentage. You talked about all that. I think they're just going to dominate Brooklyn down there. And outside of a crazy anomaly game where Brooklyn just goes off from 3, even 231.5 feels like a pretty good under right now. It got bet up for me to be able to bet under it because of the fact that all these impressive numbers for Milwaukee defensively, number 1 opponent field goal percentage, all that stuff we talk about, they're even better when they're on the road in their last 4 during this win streak. They're playing at a 99.5 pace in their last 4 on the road as well, which is down from that 103.5 that they've been playing at over the course of this 14-game winning streak. Fewer points, 7 fewer free throw attempts when they're on the road right now than when they are at home. Not a surprising number, but it's a big number and a big difference for them in terms of obviously Giannis getting a ton of free throws at home versus on the road where they're not getting quite as many calls. So it just seems to be a little bit sloppier. And if both these teams can limit threes decently, then this should be able to go under. But I think Milwaukee can cover this unless there's just going to be some, Brooklyn's pulling something out of their ass that we're not seeing right now.
Yeah, and both these teams limit fast break points, which is key. Even if you talk about if Milwaukee's going to play that increased pace, if they're going to get 118, I don't know if they will be able to score as consistently in the half court if Brooklyn gets back the way they have been under Jacques Vaughn. So that does, definitely makes me have more faith in the under. The fact that Milwaukee's gone under in 4 straight on the road because of those exact metrics you're mentioning. I am a little concerned just because Brooklyn's been pummeled lately, and they're 25th in defensive rating in this 8-game sample. Yeah. But when these teams get together, it is. I mean, it's a new Nets team, of course, but it tends to be competitive. I mean, they had that epic playoff series, and it tends to be low scoring. And I think Jacques Vaughn is maybe a guy who's put in some good game plans against Giannis. I mean, the last time they played in December, granted they had KD out there, but the Nets won, and Giannis was really limited. 26 points, which for him is a bad game, and 7 turnovers, I believe. So credit Jacques Vaughn for being at the helm and doing that. And I think that probably keeps Milwaukee under 120, and therefore probably keeps us under this total.
Yeah, that's what I would think as well. So that's all the time we have for you guys in this one. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along. Also have those player props up for you today that we are staying super hot on. So until we see you next, happy betting.